This is things you might not have heard for the 12th of January, 2026. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. It's hard to believe we're not even 2 full weeks into this year yet, and so many things have happened. Actually, it's not so hard to believe because see the picture we have there for our teaser graphic. We have 3 stories that are directly Donald Trump related right off the bat, and some other things that are all adjacent because it happens there. It's Monday, so we have 10 stories for you today, 2 extra stories because of 2 extra days to make this in. And you, of course, helped us pick out these stories. You told us these were stories that were really worth chatting about, so you only have yourself to blame, along with that guy there. So if you want to get more involved in this, make sure you follow us on our feeds on Facebook and X so you can see what stories are being promoted all day long, so you can help us pick those stories by engaging them and, of course, doing all the other things that we ask you to do. Stop by our website. This is the conversationproject.com and see the old stuff, see how well we've gotten better from the past and how we can do better going forward. And, of course, visit our partnership pages, sponsorship pages, all those things like that. And we'll talk about our spotlight sponsor, which is, of course, Ground News again today. A bit lazy to keep with Ground News, but Ground News is something we use every single day, and it's one of our more popular sponsors. So I want to talk about today in the news, along with Donald Trump basically taking over everything, because he has. We have some Jerome Powell, which is actually a Donald Trump story, and Dolly Parton, which I will tell you as the kicker story is the very last one. So guess what? You're sticking to the end to get the knowledge on Dolly Parton. No tease, no info. You just have to wait to see where we're going with this one. Now, as I said, today is for the 12th of January. If I didn't say January, probably said July, 2026. Let's get into the news stories per you mostly, plus some things that are sort of breaking to get into that are worth chatting about. We kick things off in Iran, oddly enough, as Trump says he is considering some military options to stop some of the deadly protests to keep them from escalating in that nation. Trump says he is weighing military options, actually going in to do something, blow things up in Iran as protests intensify and reported deaths rise, framing from the situation as both a humanitarian risk and security risk in its own. The comments mark a sharp rhetoric and escalation, even as administration officials stop short of outlining specific operational plans. Essentially, all weekend long, Trump's been looking at operational plans, things to do in Iran that will do something to help the protesters get a bit more protest freedoms, despite the fact that the protesters here in the U.S. aren't getting a lot of protest freedom. That's beside the point. U.S. intelligence agents are and all the assets are saying they're focusing on whether Iran's internal unrest could actually spill across the borders and trigger retaliation against U.S. assets nearby, because there's none in Iran, obviously. Strategically, the floating of military options shifts from the media frame to the protesters as what they're doing to speak up for themselves to us, because the deterrence that may be what we're doing to help the protesters in Iran that isn't regime change may turn to something that's a bit more bloody than we want it to be. The leadership in Iran has accused outside actors of feeling unrest. Of course, the internet's been shut down for about 6 or 7 days at this point, so there's no real idea of what's happening inside Iran. Whatever you can snuggle out is what you can smuggle out, but we don't have a real sense of what's going on there. There's not a lot of sharing of videos there because they can do that, or they are doing that. We'll see how this plays out, as this is an Iran story. This is a freedom story. This is a world story, but it also is a Donald Trump story. Continuing with the Donald Trump stories that are bigger stories, but about him, the Justice Department is opening a criminal investigation into the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell. They're going to look into what's going on him and what's he doing, or what did he do. He actually spent more money on some renovations to some Fed buildings than expected. And he did this already with Congress's approval. And everyone knows this. But Trump found a bill that showed that the cost of something overran something. And this is a picture of Trump presenting that bill to Jerome Powell. You may remember this one. Powell was walking through some of the new renovations of the Fed buildings with Trump. Trump and Powell have hard hats on. Tim Scott's over to the left-hand side. No hard hat because nobody cares about Tim Scott. And Trump's like, this thing costs too much here. And then Powell looks at it and says, oh, this is for some old buildings that we did like years ago. This has already been passed, been paid, whatever. And then, Trump said some of the words because he says words. Now, ABC News is reporting that the probe is centering around the false statements and related to renovations at the Fed's headquarters. And Powell did something that he doesn't normally do. He spoke out to the people. He did a video yesterday that basically said no wrongdoing done. He denied all there, and that the Fed emphasized the operational independence amid growing political activity and the scrutiny that he's getting from the president. Basically saying that the president is going after him because he's not doing exactly what the president's saying with the Fed rates. They're not being independent, or they are being independent, and Trump doesn't like that. From a standpoint of the governance of what we do here, the investigations raise concerns about the pressure on the central bank autonomy, i.e. Trump is pushing for DOJ to do this because Trump wants Jerome Powell to do something. The other irony of this one is the fact that Jerome Powell is essentially 6 weeks out from getting a new job. They have talked about firing him for a year, and then Trump backed off because his time was running out, and he just picks whoever wants to. And now they're going to investigate him for wrongdoing. Markets are watching this closely right now. Everybody's just sitting at the skittish level. It's cats with long tails and rocking chair rooms. But we'll see what happens if things plays out to something a bit more treacherous with our money today. This one direct. Donald Trump's motorcade in Florida was actually rerouted after reports of suspicious object. Did you know Trump is actually still in Florida? He hasn't actually left his southern White House, if you will, Mar-a-Lago. He's been there the whole time. And their motorcade was traveling through town and was rerouted near a Florida airport after reports of a suspicious object, according to law enforcement. Authorities said that the precaution was taken out of an abundance of caution while the area was secured. The object was later determined not to pose a threat. No injuries were reported. Trash in the road, that happens everywhere. You probably see it all over the place, especially in a place like Florida. But hey, when you drive around someone as important as the president, you take all precautions necessary. Such reroutings are actually routine, but they are highly visible and reinforce the constant securing of postures that around all presidents and former presidents, if you will. Briefly disrupted some airline traffic because they had to basically shut down some airlines thinking something was coming in and out. But in this case, nothing really serious. People got back to order law-ish pretty quickly. No disclosure of what was in the object, what the object was. Was it trash? Was it something that could have been potentially dangerous? We don't know, and we will never know. Believe it or not, we are missed by not taking up a lot of the sports action from this weekend. We're not talking about wild card weekend for NFL because we have one more game to go tonight. So giving it to here is not really fitting. We'll give the full breakdown tomorrow for a recap of that one. But we are going to talk about the game coming up on the 19th. That is the college football championship, college football playoff, the big game between Indiana and Miami. The U is back, and they're playing 20 minutes down the road from their actual home. And the quarterback from Indiana, he's from Miami, so it's essentially a home game for both teams, and we'll see what happens going on. But basically, a lot of guys in Indiana are playing from Miami. It's an odd thing. But the big thing about this one is, if you want to check it out, you're probably going to watch it on TV, even if you're local, because the ticket prices for this event are just crazy. The Indiana-Miami College Football Playoff Championship surging as soon as the matchup was essentially made together. Secondary market tickets are showing prices climbing well above face value, and travel plans are locked in. One of the anchors I watched on CNN, as it was talking about the game after Indiana, said basically the prices of tickets in the nosebleeds were somewhere around $4,000 for the lower seats. That was hours after the game was over to basically set this game up for the 19th. The Spike highlights how first-time or unexpected title appearances can reshape economics. Remember, none of these two teams have ever won championships under this era. Miami, the U, of course, big time from back in the day, but not since the college football era where they've had this BCS type thing, have had a shot to go any place, and now they're going to have a shot to do it at home, essentially. What's this mean for the whole cities? It's a surge in money that they can make in for hotel sellouts and premium prices if they don't get caught doing things the wrong way. There's also attorney generals across the nation, and especially folks in NCAA, because people are watching out for all that NIL money to make sure that people aren't getting cheated too much out of their money on these things. Downsides are pretty serious. It's going to cost you a lot of money to go see the games. An average fan can't go see it in person. But it does make for big money to pay those big contracts to those players. Yes, money involved in college football and college sports has changed the game significantly, and it ain't going back. So don't think it's going back. But in this case, we'll see what happens as two teams who've never had a chance to win this type of championship will go for it all in about a week. Meanwhile, money lost is money gained, maybe? We shall see in the long run. But Paramount Skydance had its $108 billion bid to buy out Warner Brothers and buy it all. And it failed. Netflix has secured the key assets that it wants, and we'll see what happens to the scraps that Netflix doesn't want. So it happened, or technically it didn't happen, as Paramount Skydance's bid for Warner Brothers collapsed after the financing hurdles and shareholder resistance. Essentially, Paramount Skydance told shareholders, we'll pay you more per share than Netflix will pay you, and we'll pay you for everything. And many of the actual shareholders didn't really like that plan. And then there were some issues getting the financing together, even though there was some sort of shadow thought process, going back to Donald Trump again, who sort of likes the Paramount Skydance folks, the Ellison family, basically said the Netflix deal was going to ruin TV, because he heard somebody say that, or ruin movies, I guess, because he heard somebody say that. But going on parallel with this, Netflix actually moved in quickly after this crash, secured the key assets, and reinforced its leverage as a cash-rich buyer. It showed it had money in its pocket. It held the suitcase full of cash that Skydance and Paramount could not actually pull together. For Paramount, the collapse resets strategy and raises questions about the future consolidation plans of all media, because until it's all back to one again, we'll be paying for 12 different services going back and forth. The Netflix roll, of course, signals a shift in content, the way it's going. Remember, Netflix is more about the streaming service, and they didn't really want the movie theaters, and they don't want CNN and the TV stations. We're going to see what happens when this thing all plays out and who gets what in the end. Quick pause in the news. We have 5 stories down, 5 more to go. That will get you started for the day. If you're watching this, would be live at 5:43 currently now, Central Time, here with us on the Central Time Zone. Or if you're watching this throughout the day, it's just stories of the day that are interesting to talk about. These are stories that you help us pick out, and you said they are conversational. Now, you can help us do that and help us grow our following, because we need more people to get a better sampling, by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the videos we produce. Like this video here, for example. If you like it, if you like the news we're presenting to you, you like the way the cadence is, if you like the way we're getting you info, click the like button. If you don't like it, but you want to into your feeds every single weekday morning by hitting the subscribe button, and it'll go to you. Hit the bell for notifications so you can see us when we're going live, but we'll be there in your actual feed on the page that you look for if you hit subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe, and help us grow this nation of news nerds that is living through this news time that we have right now. Potentially the largest nursing strike in New York City could happen, as talks are stalling to make this thing work out. No real updates on this one when we posted it yesterday. Yesterday there was some back and forth about talks through the night, but I could not find an update on the story. So as far as I can tell, the strike is still pending, where nursing in New York City could have a halt. The historic largest strike in negotiations are not actually going so well for the nurses union and the city, the hospitals. The union cites staffing ratios, burnout, and pay as unresolved core issues. That may sound familiar to all issues with unions, but this is what we're doing with this one here. Hospital systems are talking about walkouts that would strain emergency room care and elective procedures. Not enough nurses to run things if people set out because they actually depend on them. But unfortunately, the details in the actual staffing and the actual funding of their work is an issue. It's not just as easy as give us more money. Okay, there's a reason why unions exist, so that you have collective bargaining to do better. But at some time, at some place, it comes to a point where they don't have it, being the management, and have to work with you on something that works out the best. This standoff actually reflects broader post-pandemic labor tensions in healthcare. It's not been great for healthcare across the board, and this is another case where at some point in time, you've got to upgrade, you've got to do better, you've got to pay people more just to keep up with things. And unfortunately, management saying now is not the time to do that. Deadline of talks is expected to basically be expanded so they can keep on trying to fix this. But at the moment, I have no update that it's close to being fixed. In fact, last night, late into the night, rumors and innuendo that they were talking, but no word on what they're talking about. Luigi Mangione is in the news and on court, appearing to seek to block the death penalty and suppress some key evidence in his case. There he is, just staring glaringly just straight into the camera to folks. Maybe not straight to the camera, but exactly so. He's got that demeanor that I killed the guy and he deserved it, but don't kill me for it. The death penalty is looking to be blocked by his attorneys and suppressing some evidence to hopefully give him a better shot at winning the case. Defense attorneys argue that investigators violated his constitutional protection during evidence collection. Essentially, when they grabbed him at the McDonald's, they didn't quite do everything right, and because of that, they want some things pulled back. Prosecutors maintain the evidence is lawful and central for their case. The motion signaled a strategy to narrow potential sentencing exposure fairly early. The judge did not rule out this immediately. They're still talking about it. Further hearings are happening to see what happened here. The outcome could significantly shape the plea leverage and trial posture. Remember, no real plea is in. The trial is more or less set for time to go by. Everything right now is literally for this guy, still procedure, making sure everything is on the up and up going forward. Because this, if messed up, would be really, really, really messed up. You may not think they're the largest story out there, but this is one that you guys tagged onto pretty quickly when we put it out there. We've got to put some things out there just because we've got time to kill and see what happens. And this is about conversational stuff. You guys want to talk about Meagan Good or Jonathan Majors or the both of them, because it's about the both of them as they ever received Guinean citizenship. The good Meagan Good and the not so great Jonathan Majors have actually received Guinean citizenship confirmed by officials and representatives. The move is being framed as both a cultural affiliation and personal decision. Comes as Major continues to have efforts to rebuild his public and professional standing, trying to get jobs after all the stuff, and his relationship with Good growing as a great thing along that, but still trying to get jobs with all the stuff. For Guinea, the announcement offers some soft power visibility through some global celebrity ties. They get a chance to say, we love the celebrities, we love Mr. Majors, we love Miss Good, and we want them to come here and live a great life. We'll make movies here. Maybe they'll make a Ghanaian Hallmark movie type of thing, and they can do those over and over again. You don't really know. It could happen. Meanwhile, like I said, you guys responded to it, you guys engaged in it, but the reaction to it is more 6-7. It's mixed. Development is unlikely to affect any U.S. legal or professional status directly. He still has to face his charges in the States, and he's still not going to make any real money in Hollywood till someone decides to take a chance on him. And that chance right now doesn't look all that great. Let's go to Malaysia and Indonesia, if you will, as they are the first countries that are moving to block the Musk's Grok, the AI image creator, over explicit images of AI type that it's been generating. The moving to block the Grok browser app, or what do you want to call it, citing that their explicit AI generated images that's being put there is not what goes along the line with Malaysia or Indonesia. We talked about how those nations have like a zero porn policy. Hello, Bonnie Blue, who basically is still locked up there, and they don't play and want to get it off their platforms because The regulators say the control the content is violating local morality and online safety laws. The fact that it exists is the problem, and they want it gone. The action reflects growing global pushback against generative AI monetization apps. And X said that it is reviewing the safeguards, but did not announce any immediate changes to Grok itself, or its AI platforms, or to what they're doing for Indonesia or Malaysia. The bans could actually limit Grok's expansion in key Southeast Asian markets, which is why they're holding back to try to figure it out. Expect some scrutiny from other countries and governments who are also watching the outcome of this one. Maybe even the US, us right here. And finally, I told you to have to wait for it, and it's here. Good news in Dolly Parton. The good news is she's good. The bad news is she's not going to be at her 80th birthday party at the Grand Ole Opry. And she says she was planned, but she can't be there because of personal reasons, and express the gratitude to their fans for their support. The Opry plans to honor her anyway, despite her absence. Still going to do everything they're going to have, except have Dolly stand up on the center stage and talk to you guys. So there's all that. But Parton actually emphasized she remains healthy, she remains active. She's in a good place right now, but because of some things that are there and because of her safety and health, to make sure she stays safe and healthy, she can't make it to Opryland for this birthday party. The announcement is prompting an outpouring of public goodwill. In most cases, people would be basically just throwing stuff at their TVs, but nobody's throwing anything at Dolly Parton. She will be there when she's there, and you'll just deal with it. How about that? This is a public outcry of greatness for Dolly Parton, and that's all we got. Her milestone birthday will be still be widely marked across the music industry and at home, just a bit more quiet at her home. But you can have the big party she's having at Opryland without her, and she's okay with that. It's good. It's okay. We want to thank you so much for being a part of what we do at the Conversation Project, and I want to remind you that it's not hard at what we do. Now, I don't want you taking my job per se, but if you're a person who's actually into the news and a bit, let's say, conflicted about some of the news stories that are being published these days by various people, Ground News is the app you need to gather. It's an app for your Android phone, an app for your iOS device. It's a website that we use as we do our research, and it will tell you essentially what news stories are telling you. Now, you still have to sort of use that batch of common sense that we hope you have to figure out what they're telling you is making any sense or not. But you can search for basically any story, a national story, an international story, a local story to you guys, and the Ground News will go through its aggregation keys and tell you what news stories are being presented by what outlets, what podcasts are talking about it, and what's important, the thought processes and the people with money behind the podcast and behind those outlets. Who's paying for the folks working there, and what do they want to see so they see more of that stuff. And if you use our affiliate link at this is theconversationproject.com/ground news, you can get 40% off their Advantage plan, and with that, use their blind spot feature, and you can find out what stories are being told to you that may be a bit on the blustery side. What stories a particular side wants to show you more of, or what stories they're trying to show you less of, to get you to fall in line with what they're saying. Like we say, propaganda may be a strong word, but every single outlet wants to sell you on them being a main source of news. We're tertiary. We get that. But other places want to make sure that you're stopping by there first, maybe second, and they want you to be engaged in what's going to be good for you, even if it's not the best news, but it's the best news that sort of fits your mind view. Ground News will tell you exactly what's going on, and you can do your own research from there. As we said, we have an affiliate link at this. It's theconversationproject.com/ground news. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. This conversation or this affiliate link gives us a small commission if you use it to sign up for there. Their regular plan is less than $1 a month if you use that link, or like I said, the Advantage plan is less than $10 a month. You get all the great deals with that one via Ground News. Our website home, this is theconversationproject.com. Our website, our email address home is theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Email us with all your questions, comments, and concerns. Check out the website for all the great things we do for the conversation, all of the conversations. And of course, check out Facebook and X where we have our feeds They are not only just where the videos come through, but we have every single day, all day long, every 50 minutes or so, a link to various news stories that we are deeming as something that could be chatted about at the end of the day or technically beginning of the days. We take a look at them, rack them, stack them, see which ones actually have the most engagement, and we pull from those to give you a good, fair shot of engaging stories. Just like that. And after 2 weeks, everything should be fixed. It does say Monday, it does say January 12th, that is the day, and it does say 2026. So we're going to take that as a win. This has been the Monday, January 12th, 2026 edition of Things You Might Have Heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. Thank you so much for being a part of what we have going on. You're going to see some changes coming up as the times they are changing. We're going to kill the Tuesday afternoon general manager link because we're about out of fantasy football coming up with the playoffs going on and Super Bowl coming through. We're going to change some things up and give you some more things to see that we're doing and some more things to see that we're not doing. We've actually had to basically cut a whole bunch of things because as time went by, it was pretty obvious some things weren't exactly the more better media you actually looked for. So we're revamping, we're doing some things, we're doing things that hopefully are better with the time we have, as opposed to just doing a bunch of things to push things out there. You can be the ultimate judge of that one. In the meantime, judge us later because we're done for the day. Monday, July, did it again. January 12th, 2026 is over. Love you, mean it. We're going to try our best to get 5 days out of this week. New schedules, new things, back to normal, super normal, if you will. We'll see you tomorrow.